Yo, first off, I moved to Portland, Oregon. I've been here a little over a month now. So far, I'm really liking it up here, but just a shout out if anyone's living in the area, hit me up. All right, in this video, I want to talk about the 7 deadly sins. Don't think by the title this is like a religious thing. I'm talking about the 7 deadly sins more of as a psychological tool. More of as a tool for self-examination or introspection. For people who don't know about the 7 deadly sins, these aren't like the serious sins, but kind of the background of the 7 deadly sins is that they are things that lead you to commit a sin. For example, if you have lust, then you might cheat on your partner, for example. So the 7 deadly sins are more like fundamental states of being that lead to bad behavior. And this is just going to be a simple intro video. And at the end of the video, I would like you to comment what of the 7 deadly sins do you think you struggle with the most, and whatever sins have the most comments, I might make some videos about. So make sure to comment below which one you think you struggle with the most. So the first 7 deadly sin is pride. And this is actually considered the most important of the 7 deadly sins. Another word for pride could be arrogance, or vanity could also work. But it's basically overvaluing yourself in some way. And one of the big reasons why this is not a good thing is because it subconsciously devalues other people. So this could be showing off, bragging, over selfishness. Now, some selfishness is good, especially for people in their like 20s. It's good to have some selfishness and grow yourself up. So selfishness is not a bad thing, but you know, selfishness where you're being an asshole, that could be pride, where you're overvaluing yourself. Pride tries to elevate themselves and put other people's down. Look at me. And at the same time, there are different forms of pride. For example, not willing to get help. That's also another form of pride. The second deadly sin is envy. And another word for envy could be jealousy. So let's say one of your friends has like a really hot girlfriend and you're jealous of that friend. Or someone you know is really rich and you're jealous of that person's wealth. Or maybe someone has a really nice car. Sometimes for me, when I see some YouTubers with a lot more subscribers than me, sometimes I get a little jealous. Especially when they're producing like kind of trash content and I see them blowing up. And see, that's my pride speaking now. See, the third one is gluttony. And another term for gluttony could be overindulgence. Well, one of the biggest forms of gluttony is overeating. You know, we have an obesity epidemic here in America. But gluttony is all about consuming more than that which is required. This could also be being gluttonous with the internet, being gluttonous with social media, being gluttonous with our smartphones, just overindulging in anything. I mean, I think especially in the modern era, almost everyone has some gluttony regarding their smartphones. It's or the internet or YouTube in general. I guess porn could fall under gluttony, but I think it also is like half gluttony, half lust. But gluttony, a big problem for lots of people. We could look at gluttony also from the perspective of a society. America is an extremely gluttonous country. We basically have slave labor all around the world, people working for 50 cents an hour in all these factories all around the world, all these farmers. And it's all shipped to America, and we consume like so much of the world's resources. American society has a big problem with gluttony, how we just take advantage of lots of the world. So you know, this is an individual thing, but we could also look at this in terms of societies or cultures or groups. This is the fourth deadly sin is lust, which lust, I'd say, is sexual craving, or just kind of craving without intimacy, sexual craving without love, sexual craving without from a heart-centered place. So a big thing would be porn addiction. But like I said, porn addiction is kind of a combination of lust and gluttony, where if you're overindulging in it. But lust could be just rather than seeing women for who they really are, but really sexualizing them and objectifying them, which again, in Western culture, if you look at the movies, music, peer pressure, just everything, lust is ingrained in us because sex sells. Lust is literally everywhere. It could be fantasizing about someone in an animal way. It's like sexual craving, not from the heart. It's just animal instinct is what lust is. So it could be cheating, porn addiction, just fantasizing about girls, or if you're a girl, a guy, or if you're homosexual, but in a very animal, lustful way. And also, I think lust could be just like craving in general. For example, like a lust for power. The next one is wrath. Another word for wrath can be anger. But just people who have lots of anger in themselves, they rage. Some people have a big problem with this. And what anger is it's kind of a way to feel powerful over other people. It's like that person who gets angry over every little small thing. They're doing it because they want to have power over the people they're angry against, and then those people stand up to that person less. Anger is a form of power in lots of ways. Now, anger isn't always necessarily bad. There can be righteous anger. Martin Luther King Jr. angry against the injustice against the black people, you know, that's very good anger. So anger isn't necessarily bad, but when it's wrath, when it's coming from this place of trying to get power over, and in a way that's not coming from the heart, it's not coming from a fair way, but it's coming from this egoic place to get power over, that's wrath. So it's not necessarily anger, but it's wrath to get power over from an egoic way and in an unjust way, ungrounded anger, unjustified anger, attacking someone who could be innocent. I hope that noise over there isn't too loud. Whenever I make videos in public, usually some distractions come up. I'm hoping you can't hear that gardening over there. Almost every time I film outside, a gardener will always like show up out of nowhere and start doing loud work like right next to where I'm filming. It's just how it works. But anyways, the sixth deadly sin is greed, which is just a desire for more material wealth. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Think of like Scrooge in the Christmas carols, or Scrooge McDuck, or just someone who like hoards wealth, like the kind of the typical capitalist who ignores other aspects of life and only focuses on amassing material wealth. That would be greed. And now the last seventh deadly sin is sloth, or otherwise known as laziness. And this is not doing physical or spiritual work. It's not taking responsibility for yourself, not taking responsibility for others, and being a good person in your community, mooching off other people. But sloth is really not taking responsibility. And this could even be like moral sloth. For example, lots of Germans during the Nazi period had moral sloth and didn't stand up to Hitler and the Nazis, for example. But sloth is really just laziness, and it's not taking responsibility for yourself and working hard towards your physical and spiritual goals. Alright, so the seven deadly sins is just a model, you know, don't take it too seriously. And you could easily add things like, I guess, like lying or cowardice, but I think it's just valuable to go through the seven deadly sins and ask yourself, do I struggle with this? Sloth, envy, lust. How do I struggle with lust in my life? How do I struggle with envy in my life? And then once you identify something, ask yourself, why do I struggle with this? And I think it's just a great tool for introspection and just to kind of really examine ourselves. So I'd like you to comment below what, out of all the seven deadly sins, which one do you think you struggle with the most? And maybe add why if you'd like to. I'd be curious to where my audience is at. I'm guessing lots of lust with the porn addiction, and also lots of gluttony. I'm guessing lots of sloth. I'm curious where you guys are at. I want to give a shout out to Stephen Andre. He talks about the seven deadly sins a lot in his videos, and that's kind of what inspired me to make this video. So shout out to Stephen Andre, awesome YouTuber. And yeah, looking forward to your comments. If you like the video, please give it a like. If you're new to my channel, check out my other videos and consider subscribing. And thanks for watching. A big thank you to my Patreons as well. A huge thank you. Peace out.